This is the Healey Brothers Podcast.
Well, today's a pretty special day, probably our favorite event of the year where we get to really help the community. So we have JK, Brian Healey, and Abraham from Make-A-Wish Hudson Valley Foundation. So today is we're gonna tell your story, and then we're gonna donate some money to help the cause. So Abraham, you just want to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. So my name is Abraham Almanza, and I'm the Senior Director of Marketing over at Make-A-Wish Hudson Valley. So thank you guys so much for having us be a recipient of your amazing support this year. And and I'm also a wish kid, which is always, I always bury the lead typically, because I forget. It's been over 25 years since my wish was granted. So I just kind of go about my day, live my best life and with my family and my kids, and think about my wish really only when I have opportunities like this to share it, which is pretty awesome.
That's pretty amazing. So can you tell me a little more about your wish and get a little more in detail?
Absolutely. So even before the wish is kind of how I got to Make-A-Wish. So every wish begins first with a referral. And the referral could be made in 3 different ways. A doctor can refer the child, medical professionals such as a nurse, social worker, child life specialist, or the actual child themselves can actually refer themselves. In my particular case, I was in the hospital. I was diagnosed with stage 4 lung cancer at the age of 15. And I was going through the process of kind of figuring out, what is my life going to be now? What am I going to be like, during this time? Prior to that, had physicals every year, played baseball, was very, much like any other teenager, had no issues breathing, don't suffer from asthma. Even today, I don't have any asthma or anything that really impacted my lungs. And what ended up happening, I got in a car accident, injured my lower back, was going to physical therapy. And through that process of getting x-rays and all this stuff for insurance, they found this weird shadow in my lungs. And they were like, well, you're 15 years old. It's probably nothing. Go check it out, just to say that we checked it out. Went to go check it out, ended up finding out that it was stage 4 lung cancer and it was progressing very quickly. So I had about 50% of both lungs that were essentially just pockmarked, with just full of tumors. And immediately went into radiation, started going through chemo. And during this time, I was approached by one of the nurses saying, hey, you're eligible for a wish. Would you want to have a wish? And I'm like, absolutely not. It's not for me. And the reason I said that was because I had the misconception that Make-A-Wish was for kids that were dying, that it was their last dying wish. And I think the majority of people think that, and the reality is completely different. And in my particular case, I rejected it at first, but she was persistent, and I give her so much love and credit because she continued to always offer it to me as an opportunity. And she always would explain it to me in ways that I could have kind of understand it. And eventually I was like, you know what, maybe I will do this. We were just talking earlier about the Yankees and how I'm a huge Yankees fan. So in that 96, 98, 99, 2000 timeframe, it was in my wheelhouse. All I did was breathe the Yankees. And when I was in the hospital, that was actually something I really looked forward to, was waiting for those Yankee playoff games, just waiting to find out what was going to happen next. So my initial wish was actually to be in full uniform, pinstripes, at home for a Yankees game. But I couldn't be around 4 people, let alone 50,000 people at the old Yankee Stadium. So what ended up happening was I kind of took a step back, thought about it, and I said, you know what? Let's do something. I want to do something with my family. I want to really just kind of pay it forward for them, because they were with me throughout everything. And ultimately, I decided, let's just go on a cruise. Let's get away from here, get away from everything. Let's just go to a beach and just hang out. That's exactly what we did. And the great thing about Make-A-Wish is that as part of the process of figuring out what a child's wish is, they ask them a lot of questions. And things that maybe have nothing to do with the wish on the surface. But one of the things they found out was how much I love the 4th of July. I love fireworks, and I love the American flag, and being a first generation immigrant here in the United States, I was really excited about the opportunity to do something on that particular day. And so what ultimately happened was, you know what? We're going to go on a cruise. So I went to the Bahamas and Bermuda, and we had an amazing time. We had a lot of opportunity there to just kind of reconnect as a family, and it was truly a once in a lifetime experience.
Well, you're a natural, and that story is pretty amazing. So
Thank you.
I mean, that's touching. It's speechless. And I just had a kid myself. We all have children now, and to help children now, you really see it in a different lens, especially.
Phil, I'm curious. You said that the perception is that Make-A-Wish really is for terminal children, and I would fall into that category, because until a minute ago,
Me too.
I thought that. So can you explain that a little bit further, or how and why is that misconception out there? Like, how do we fix that?
So a great thing about that, and to kind of explain it, is that when we were established first as an organization back in the early 80s, the children that we were granting wishes for were terminal. And I think what ended up happening was that became part of the understanding of what Make-A-Wish does, is that we're granting last wishes. And that was part of the, believe it or not, the kind of like the marketing plan early on, is how can we get people to engage with this organization, to feel connected to these kids? And, they're going to pull at the heartstrings. And obviously a child passing away is probably going to pull more of the heartstrings than a kid that's going to survive it at that time in the early 80s. And again, technology was very different. A lot of the kids that in the past were passing away because they had leukemia or some other sort of conditions, now the technology has advanced to the point where this is treatable. Kids are living longer. I'm a prime example of that. Even though I had lung cancer, I didn't have leukemia or lymphoma or some of the other common cancers that tend to come up in pediatric cancers. In my particular case, I had an opportunity to really understand how the whole process of a wish starts with the referral. The misunderstanding kind of happened from that, and we've been fighting against it since. And as a result, what we try to do is share alumni stories as much as possible, not just of the impact of the wish in the moment when the child needs it the most, but also what is the lasting impact that happens after that. Where are the kids 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, or in my case, 26 years since their wish? We want to hear those stories, and we got to get those stories out, and we share them as much as possible. But it tends, in the news cycles, they're going to go for the story that's the most heartbreaking as opposed to the most uplifting sometimes. And that's unfortunately kind of the battle that we're constantly fighting. But the more stories we share, the better we can get that misconception out of people's minds.
So I think in your last fiscal year, which I think ended the end of August, you had like 30 Make-A-Wishes in Orange County and like 17 in Dutchess County, somewhere around those numbers. But how big is the pool that you choose from? Like what percentage of the children that want a wish actually are granted a wish?
Yeah, right. So locally in Hudson Valley too. Now, obviously we know Make-A-Wish is nationally, and we want to help children locally. So what's the local?
Absolutely. So to kind of take a step back, on average, we just this past year, we granted 145 wishes as a whole throughout the entire Hudson Valley, which covers 8 counties of New York State. That's kind of how we're set up. Now, as far as every child that is eligible to receive a wish in our region of the Hudson Valley will get a wish.
Oh, wow.
There's nothing that's going to deter us from granting that child's wish. Now, the wish may need to change sometimes given what's going on in that child's medical journey, and given sometimes they change their mind. My case, I wanted to go to the Yankee game, Yeah, exactly. So, and we have a lot of kids that maybe start off with, I want to go to Disney World, and then for whatever reason, they change and they want to have a puppy all of a sudden. So we change gears and we grant that wish. But every child that is eligible in the Hudson Valley, we are going to grant them a wish. And so nothing's going to stop us from doing that. It's just it's a matter of really digging in and finding out what is the heart of that child's wish, what's going to give them the most joy in that moment of the most need. Because I think that's another thing to also clarify. Sometimes the perception is that, well, I don't want to go on a wish right now because I'm in treatment and I want to go at the end, which is okay, which is the light at the end of the tunnel. You work towards it. Absolutely. And that was the case for me. I didn't want to go to the beach with ports put on in my chest and having to wrap it up and cover it to go into water. I wanted to be able to go out there free as I always was and just enjoy the experience. But for some kids, that are really little, let's say 4 or 5 years old, they may say, I want to save my wish to go to college. Believe it or not, those things have come up. Or I want to save my wish for later on in the years. And so when you go so far out, the impact of what the wish is able to provide that child, it lessens because they need it in that moment. That's what's going to give them that strength to get past the challenges that they're facing in their medical journey. So our focus is to meet the child where they are in that moment and try to get to the heart of the child's wish and grant them the wish as soon as possible. As these kids are becoming eligible in our territory, we want to grant it within that year, 14-month period because again, we work around the child's availability, both with their medical treatment, family's availability. We take all of that in consideration. There's a lot of layers to granting wishes. It definitely doesn't happen overnight, but there's a lot of great conversations that we have with families that really helps us, really understand what is it that they want.
And how big a part does fundraising play in the Make-A-Wish Foundation?
Huge. It's kind of like a coin. You know, one side of it is granting the wish. The other side is we have to fundraise, you know, so we cannot grant wishes without the funds coming in. And I think another big misconception, especially with Make-A-Wish, is that most people have heard of Make-A-Wish before. You know, they know it.
You see it on ESPN and stuff like that with John Cena doing it for the kids.
Exactly. So people hear that, they see that, and they're like, oh, they don't need money. They have the money to grant wishes. But what they don't understand is that the monies that are raised locally stay local. Every chapter is responsible for their own fundraising. So having partners like you guys that are supporting local wishes.
We were like, Make-A-Wish is national. Like, it doesn't work because we built Healey Brothers Driven to Give to be local, to help the local kids and build houses, whatever it is. It has to make an impact here where our people work and live and where we grew up. So
exactly,
it means a lot to us.
Absolutely, and we appreciate that, because for us, our office is located in Tarrytown, which is in Westchester County, which is the southernmost county that we serve. But we go up through Rockland, Orange, Putnam, Ulster, Sullivan, Delaware, Dutchess. I mean, we have a huge territory. And I live in Dutchess, so I'm driving that hour commute down to Westchester, you know, when I go into the office. And so, you know, that's just part of it. But we have a lot of our staff that have lived in Rockland and in Orange and in Putnam. So, you know, we are part of the community. Our region, while large, it still feels like a family, because our chapter size is it's pretty small in comparison to something like Metro New York or New Jersey or Connecticut, where they have huge areas of coverage. But for us, we know our families. We know them by name. We get to know them through the process of granting a wish. And so that allows us to really build great relationships with them, and also be able to, you know, introduce them to partners like you guys that are supporting us, so that you guys can also see that impact of a wish, not just in general, but someone that lives right down the street. We were talking earlier about someone you knew growing up, you know, that lived near your home that had received the wish. You know, that's the reality of our community, is that we have a kid in a lot of towns all over this region. So being able to bring that forward to you guys, and you know, it's really great, because it does bring it right to your backyard.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So closing up here, we're going to be announcing today the donation to Make-A-Wish and to help local children. It's going to be a donation of $30,000. So what does that do to help the local children? Where does that get them?
Absolutely. So the average cost of a wish for us is $10,000 cash value, right? So you guys are going to help grant 3 wishes right off the top. 3 kids locally in this area are going to receive that life-changing, transformative experience and a gift. So this is an amazing gift that you guys have. You're impacting not just 3 kids, but their entire families and those communities of network supporting them. So that is absolutely huge. That direct impact we'll make sure that once those wishes are granted, we're going to share those stories with you guys as a follow-up to make sure that you guys see where those monies went.
And I'm sure that $10,000 goes a lot further than if I just tried to get something for $10,000, because you have those national partners. Let's say it's the Yankees that are going to give it to you on cents on the dollar, right?
100%, yeah. So we have great partnerships on a national level, but we also have amazing partnerships locally too. You know, we have our Legoland experience, a resort right in New York. We have Cartwright in our territory. We also have we have so many just in our region. So having that local impact, yes, we get a lot of in-kind through them at times. But what that also does, it allows us to spread the wealth to other kids. And maybe instead of 3 wishes, maybe we're able to cover 5 wishes as a result of that $30,000 gift that you guys are giving. So we'll definitely follow up just to let you guys know where we ended up. But I can tell you at a minimum, it'll definitely be 3, but probably more.
That's pretty amazing. So thank you. And this is like a different way we went this year in helping children. There's no better way. So thank you for coming out, your team being here. And I think we get to meet someone today, right?
Yeah, you're actually going to meet one of our Wish alumni. Her name is Aubrey. Had an amazing wish. I'm not going to tell you what it is. You can find out. You want to be surprised. Exactly. It's part of the anticipation of a wish, right? It's the same thing for the kids. You know, they're looking forward, because a lot of times we surprise them. So we surprise them with wish reveals, and we let them know. They don't know what's happening until it happens. So for you guys, let's wait and hear from Aubrey straight from her to see what the impact of a wish was for her.
Thank you so much for taking the time. Thank you. Appreciate it.
You telling your story is phenomenal, and you're a natural at doing it. So keep doing what you're doing, and we look forward to the future and can't wait to meet some of these kids.
We can't thank you guys enough, and thank you guys for helping transform lives here locally in the Hudson Valley. We really appreciate it.
Thank you for tuning in. Don't forget to like, comment, hit that subscribe button, and follow us at Healey Brothers on all social platforms.